Hi everyone. So last week in Shantala taught us about Abraham and how he listened to God and listened to his instruction. Do you know why Abraham listened? Well, because he loved God and he trusted him and he believed him and he knew that God always keeps his promises. So Abraham went to Canaan, and then we see that God made some promises to Abraham. He promised him land, he promised him lots of children, and he promised that all people will be blessed through him. So all people one day would be saved through Abraham. These are huge promises. I mean, can God keep them? Will God keep them? Well, yes, that is the answer. God will keep them because God always keeps his promises. And we know that from Psalm 145, verse 13, that God will always keep his promises.
A long, long time ago, when Abraham was old, God promised him a great big family. It seemed too hard to do, too good to become true. Yet Abraham said, "Yes, God, I believe you can." What a man. Abraham, trusting God when he can't understand. What a man. Abraham, man oh man, I want to have faith like Abraham, as well as family. God promised land and trees, a special place to call his very own. So Abraham you go to see his promised home. And Abraham said, "Yes, God, I believe you can." What a man. Abraham, trusting God when he can't understand. What a man. Abraham, man oh man, I want to have faith like Abraham. Yes, I do. And lastly, but not least, God said you will be blessed. Your name will be made great in all the earth. You'll be my special one. I'll bless the world through you. And Abraham said, "Yes, God, I believe you can." What a man. Abraham, trusting God when he can't understand. What a man. Abraham, man oh man, I want to have faith like Abraham. Yeah.
So that song reminded us how Abraham trusted God.
Yeah.
He had faith that God would keep his promise, even when he didn't know how God would keep it. So sometimes I've made a promise to Nathan, saying he can watch some TV or have a biscuit late in the day, but then I forget that I've made that promise, or something happens that stops me from keeping the promise. And Nate gets sad, and I get sad, because I can't keep it, and then I have to say sorry for not being able to keep my promise. So sometimes our parents or our teachers forget the promises they make, or something stops them from keeping it. But God has never forgotten and will never forget his promises, because God always keeps his promises and nothing can stop that. Hey?
Yeah.
So today we'll see how Abraham chooses to believe that God will keep his promises. Where's Abraham? This one is Abraham, cowboy one, and where's Lot? This is Lot with the young rock star hair. So let's see what happens in today's true story from the Bible. Okay, Abraham and Lot had lots of animals that needed lots of space and grass. Let's see, will all these animals fit on the grass, Nate?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Put them all on. Let's see if they'll fit. Even their families, their children, and their wives. Oh no, this place is looking really crowded. Is there space?
Yeah.
You can't live on the house. Oh no, this is looking way too full. Oh no. So there wasn't enough space for all of them to live, happily at least, so they had to find separate places and homes. And Abram was so kind that he let Lot choose first. He said, do you want to go east or do you want to go west? And this is the picture. So Lot looked and he thought, which is the nicest place for my animals and my people? Nathan, which do you think is the nicest? Yes, the place there with the sheep and the flowers. That'll give the most food for the animals. And Lot took that place, and Abraham was left with the other place. But now, didn't God promise Abraham good land? Does that mean that God forgot his promise? Not at all. After Lot left, God told Abraham to look all over, further than he could ever see. And he said to Abraham that all this land will one day belong to him. Great. So God does keep his promise. Let's see from Genesis 13, verse 14 to 15. It says, the Lord said to Abraham after Lot had parted from him, lift up your eyes from where you are and look north and south and east and west. All the land that you see I will give to you and your offspring forever. Well, you see, God will keep his promise. Abraham was so grateful to God for keeping his promise, and he trusted that God will continue to keep his promise. This is great. So let's sing a song about God being able to do all things. And one of the things is keeping his promises, because he can do all things.
Can God do all things? Yes, God can do all his holy will. Can God do all things? Yes, God can do all his holy will. Can God do all things? Yes, God can do all his holy will. Can God do all things? Yes, God can do all his holy will. With God all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. With God all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. Can God do all things? Yes, God can do all his holy will. Can God do all things? Yes, God can do all his holy will.
So for those of you who love God, God has promised to be with you and me always. God has promised to be with us when we're scared, when we're sad, when we're happy, and even when we're disobedient. He has also promised that he will forgive us if we say we're sorry to him and to our parents or our friends who we hurt. He has promised that he will help us to be kind and loving and obedient. We can just ask him to help us. So, when there are times when it's really difficult to believe God's promises, or it's tough to love God or our parents or our friends, remember the story of Abraham and Lot, and how even though it seemed like God had forgotten his promises, he didn't, because God always keeps his promises.